A stone block weighing more than 100 tons fits against another with a seam thinner than paper. This precision exists in monumental ruins across our planet, built with techniques that still challenge our understanding of history. By the end of this journey, you will see 25 ancient wonders through the eyes of the engineers trying to solve them. How did cultures without modern tools achieve laser-sharp cuts and celestial alignments with such flawless accuracy? And what common thread connects civilizations that never met? What does it truly mean to build something for eternity? That paper-thin seam in stone represents a fundamental shift in perspective. We are not looking at primitive efforts, but at the peak of entire systems of knowledge. These builders worked in a world defined by silence, where the only power was human or animal muscle, and the only guidance came from careful observation of the stars, the sun, and the land itself. For them, precision was not a luxury, it was a necessity. A structure meant to stand for 1,000 years, or to mark the exact moment the sun touched the horizon on a solstice, could not be built on guesswork. Every perfect angle, every interlocking stone served a purpose. It was a language written in geometry and astronomy, a physical manifestation of a culture's deepest beliefs about order, the cosmos, and their place within it. To see these ruins as just piles of old rock is to miss the entire story. We are looking at the culmination of lifetimes of learned skill, of sacred mathematics passed down through generations, and of an intimate dialogue between a people and their environment. This shared drive to create something that would speak across the centuries connects every site on our journey. It is a legacy carved not just in stone, but in the very ambition of what it means to be human. A razor blade cannot penetrate the seam between two stones. That single, measurable fact changes everything. When we speak of precision in these ancient places, we are not using a poetic metaphor. We are describing a set of physical, verifiable achievements that stand in stark contrast to the tools we believe were available. This precision manifests in several specific, awe-inspiring ways. It is found in joints so meticulously fitted that not even air seems to pass through, creating a bond stronger than any mortar. It is seen in surfaces polished to a reflective, almost liquid smoothness, capturing light in a way rough stone never could. It is present in the mind-bending complexity of polygonal masonry, where giant blocks are carved into irregular, puzzle piece shapes that lock together under their own weight, defying seismic forces for millennia. And perhaps most profoundly, it is witnessed in celestial alignments, where doorways, corridors, or entire structures are oriented with such care that they capture the sun's rays or frame a specific star on a precise calendar day, accurate to a fraction of a degree. This is not random artistry. It is the signature of a systematic methodology. It tells us that these builders possessed not just skill, but a deep, working command of geometry, material science, and astronomy. They understood the behavior of stone, the mathematics of angles, and the cycles of the heavens with an intimacy we are still striving to comprehend. To move from vague wonder to genuine understanding, we must begin to catalog these techniques, to see the logic in the limestone and the equations in the earth. Our journey into this catalog starts with a site that does not simply exhibit precision, but uses it to perform what seems, even today, like an impossible feat of engineering. The scale of the Great Pyramid is a number so large it loses all meaning. 2.3 million blocks, each one heavier than a family car, stacked into a mountain of stone that was the tallest structure on Earth for nearly 4,000 years. But the truly impossible detail is not its size but its exactness. In a desert of shifting sands, its builders created a foundation so perfectly flat that across its entire base, the corners vary in height by less than the width of your thumb. Its four sides face north, south, east and west with an error of just a fraction of a degree, an alignment more precise than what many modern structures achieve. How do you achieve that level of directional accuracy without a magnetic compass? How do you quarry, transport, and position millions of multi-ton blocks with such consistent hairline precision? The classic image of thousands of people dragging stones up massive earthen ramps is a compelling story, but it struggles to explain the micro-level accuracy we find in the stonework itself. The joints between the massive casing stones, now mostly gone, were reportedly so tight that a credit card could not slip between them. This points to a final, meticulous finishing process after the blocks were in place, a level of post-assembly refinement that defies simple ramp theories. Then there are the internal mysteries. Narrow shafts emanating from the king's chamber are aligned with specific stars, as if the structure itself was a machine designed to connect the earthly and the celestial. This was far more than a memorial site. It was a statement of cosmic order, a permanent mountain of geometry declaring that humanity could mirror the perfection of the heavens here on Earth. It established a benchmark, a proof of concept written in limestone that would echo in the ambitions of builders for millennia to come. Puma Punku looks like the aftermath of a giant stoneworking shop struck by an earthquake. Scattered across a high Andean plain in Bolivia lie hundreds of intricately carved stone blocks, some weighing more than 100 tons, as if a master builder's carefully sorted toolkit was violently upended and abandoned. But this is not rubble from a collapse. This is the ruin itself, a collection of components so precisely made, they seem to belong to a different age entirely. The material is andesite, a volcanic stone harder than granite, yet it has been cut with a machinist's obsession for detail. We find blocks with perfect 90-degree angles sharper than any modern carpenter's square. We see long, straight grooves carved into the surface with a uniformity that suggests a guided tool, not a hammer and chisel. Most baffling are the complex, interlocking shapes, like giant stone Lego pieces, each with precise notches, channels, and tabs designed to fit seamlessly with others. This is not random artistry. It is modular, systematic engineering. Each block was a piece of a larger, unknown whole, a puzzle assembled without mortar, held together by geometry and gravity. The sheer consistency of these cuts, repeated across dozens of shattered components, points to a standardized process, a repeatable technique that could produce near-identical parts. This level of industrial precision feels utterly alien in a landscape where, by our traditional understanding, the primary tools were stone hammers and bronze chisels. Then comes the logistical puzzle. These colossal blocks of andesite were quarried from a mountain over 50 miles away. How do you transport a 100-ton block of stone that distance, across rugged terrain, at an altitude where the air is thin, without the use of the wheel or draft animals? The very presence of these stones at the site is a monumental achievement that precedes the assembly. Puma Punku stands as a profound challenge to our narrative of technological progress. It presents evidence of a capability, a method of shaping and moving stone that we have not yet fully credited to its ancient builders. It forces a simple, haunting question. If this is what they left behind in pieces, what unimaginable structure were they building? The walls of Sacsayhuamán do not simply sit upon the hill, they are an extension of it. Overlooking the ancient Inca capital of Cusco, these zigzagging stone ramparts are not built from uniform bricks, but from a breathtaking puzzle of limestone giants. Each block is a unique, irregular polygon, some weighing more than 100 tons, carved to fit perfectly against its neighbors in a complex, interlocking embrace. No mortar was used or needed. The bond is the fit itself, a seamless joinery so precise that after 500 years of violent earthquakes in one of the most seismically active regions on Earth, you still cannot slip a piece of paper between most of the stones. This is more than a fortress, it is a demonstration of profound understanding. The technique is known as ashlar masonry, but that term barely captures the artistry involved. Imagine the process. A massive block is quarried and roughly shaped. It is then painstakingly transported to the site, a feat of communal effort and engineering in its own right. Then begins the most delicate phase. Using only harder stones as tools, workers would have carefully pounded and abraded the surface, likely testing the fit against its destined neighbor again and again. This was a slow, deliberate dance of trial and error, a conversation between the masons and the mountain itself. They were not forcing geometric shapes onto the rock, but rather revealing the natural lock and key hidden within each piece. The result is a structure that moves with the land, its interlocking teeth allowing it to flex and settle during tremors without collapsing. This was the Inca philosophy in stone, a symbiotic relationship with a rugged landscape. They did not seek to conquer the Andes, but to collaborate with them, building in a way that honored the earth's power and permanence. At Sacsayhuamán, the mountain and the monument became one, a testament to a civilization that listened to the stone and learned its secrets. Stonehenge rises from the Salisbury Plain not as a random pile of rocks, but as a colossal stone machine. Its iconic circle of towering sarsen stones, each capped by a massive lintel, represents a leap in Neolithic ambition that goes far beyond brute strength. The builders treated this incredibly hard sandstone with the care of master carpenters. Look closely at the connection between an upright pillar and the lintel resting upon it. On top of the pillar, they carved a rounded bump, a tenon. On the bottom of the lintel, they carved a matching hollow, a mortise. This is woodworking joinery, scaled up to a monumental level, creating stable, interlocking connections that have held for thousands of years. Some lintels are even linked together using tongue and groove fittings along their sides, forming a continuous stone ring in the sky. This precise stone shaping reveals a society with advanced planning, a shared blueprint, and the patience to execute it over generations. The mystery deepens with the smaller blue stones that form the inner circles. Their geological fingerprint points to a source in the Preseli Hills of Wales, over 150 miles away. The journey of these 4-ton stones, whether by raft along rivers and coastlines, dragged overland on rollers, or through some combination of effort we have yet to conceive, is a staggering feat of prehistoric logistics. It speaks of a purpose so powerful it mobilized communities across a vast landscape, and that purpose is written in the alignment. The central axis of Stonehenge is carefully oriented so that on the summer solstice, the sun rises directly over the heel stone and shines into the heart of the circle. In the depth of winter, the sunset aligns in the opposite direction. This was not a coincidence. It was an astronomical observatory and a calendar carved from the earth, a permanent anchor point in the cyclical journey of the sun. This circle of stone is a testament to a culture that measured the heavens, mastered complex engineering, and orchestrated a project spanning centuries, all to build a connection between their world and the cosmos above. Beneath the sands of Abydos, hidden in the shadow of a great temple, lies a structure that feels like a secret from a deeper past. The Osireion is not built upward toward the sun, but downward into the earth, a sunken courtyard and hall of colossal granite blocks. Its design is a deliberate echo, a mirror of the royal resting places from the very dawn of Egyptian civilization, the earliest dynastic tombs, yet its construction style presents a jarring contrast. While the temples above display the refined, detailed artistry of classical Egyptian stonework, the Osireion is a study in monumental simplicity. Its blocks are enormous, some weighing over 60 tons, and they are minimally dressed, their surfaces left largely rough. But this is not a lack of skill. The precision here is in the sheer scale and the perfect, sober alignment. These giants are fitted together with a stark, geometric certainty, creating a space that feels more ancient, more primal than anything surrounding it. This architectural anachronism is the core of its mystery. Why would later builders, masters of elegant carving, choose to construct a hidden underground complex in a style that their own culture had evolved beyond centuries earlier? Some researchers have pointed to subtle marks on the stone, patterns of wear that to their eyes suggest the work of water, not wind-blown sand. This observation has sparked profound debate, proposing that the Osireion might not be a later imitation of an old style, but could itself be a genuine artifact from a much older epoch, a time when the climate and landscape of Egypt were vastly different. Whether one accepts that theory or not, the Osireion stands as a powerful symbol of a recurring theme in our journey, the possibility that our historical timeline contains echoes of lost chapters. It asks us if later civilizations sometimes did not just build upon the land, but upon the physical legacy of those who came before, repurposing and honoring ruins so old their original builders had faded into legend. 800 tons is not a weight, it is a statement. At the base of the Temple of Jupiter in Baalbek lies a foundation of such staggering scale it seems to belong to myth. 3 colossal limestone blocks, known as the Trilithon, form a single course of the podium wall. Each one is estimated to weigh the equivalent of 2 fully loaded jumbo jets. Their surfaces are unnervingly flat, their joints remarkably precise, and their very existence poses a single, overwhelming question. How the Romans were master engineers, but even their documented prowess with cranes, pulleys, and vast workforces strains to explain the logistics of moving a 1,000-ton block from a quarry nearly a mile away and then lifting it over 20 feet into position. In that nearby quarry rests the ultimate expression of this ambition, the stone of the pregnant woman, a single block weighing around 1,000 tons, partially carved from the living rock and then simply left, as if the project itself reached a physical limit even its builders could not surpass. The precision here is not in delicate joinery, but in the audacious mastery of mass. To extract a block of that size without it fracturing requires an intimate knowledge of the stone's grain and stress points. To transport it requires a roadway, rollers, and a coordination of human effort that borders on the unimaginable. The flatness of the finished surfaces suggests a level of finishing after placement that is difficult to comprehend without advanced lifting systems to repeatedly adjust such unimaginable weight. This has led many to look deeper into the site's history. Baalbek was sacred long before the Romans arrived, a place of worship for the Phoenicians and others lost to time. The podium upon which the Romans built their temple is itself a relic of a much older construction phase, one that may have provided the foundation, both literally and technologically, for what came later. Were the Romans utilizing a pre-existing sacred site, and perhaps even adapting and scaling up construction methods pioneered by a forgotten civilization? The Trilithon does not just challenge our understanding of Roman capability, it whispers of a lineage of megalithic engineering in the region, a tradition of moving mountains that the Romans may have inherited rather than invented. Here, precision is measured not in millimeters but in the successful defiance of gravity itself. Derinkuyu is a city that breathes, 18 levels deep, carved into the soft volcanic tuff of Turkey's Cappadocia region. This is not a tomb or a temple, but a living, breathing subterranean metropolis designed for thousands. Here, precision takes on a different, more urgent meaning. It is not found in the joints between stones, but in the very air one inhales and the stability of the ceiling overhead. This was engineering for survival, a masterpiece of underground planning executed with hand tools and an intimate knowledge of the earth. The builders did not assemble their city, they revealed it, carefully excavating a labyrinth of living quarters, stables, storage rooms, chapels, and even wineries, all while ensuring 3 non-negotiable necessities: structural integrity, fresh air, and clean water. The symmetry of the tunnels and the uniformity of the carved rooms speak to a shared blueprint, a communal understanding of how to distribute weight and stress through the soft rock to prevent collapse. Dozens of ingeniously designed ventilation shafts, some stretching over 170 feet to the surface, provided a constant, passive flow of air to even the deepest chambers, preventing stagnation and allowing for fires to be lit. Deep wells tapped into the groundwater, creating a self-sufficient water supply isolated from the world above. Massive, circular stone doors weighing up to half a ton could be rolled across key passageways, sealing the city off from the outside in times of conflict. This was not a temporary refuge but a long-term habitat, a testament to a society that looked not to the stars for alignment, but into the earth itself for sanctuary. It showcases how ancient precision was not always about celestial ambition or monumental display, but could be directed toward the most fundamental human needs: protection, community, and the simple, profound act of enduring. In the silent, stable dark of Derinkuyu, we find a different kind of genius, one measured in breathable air and the enduring safety of carved stone. The Moai do not simply stare out to sea, they stand guard over a profound and silent mystery. These iconic stone faces of Easter Island, known locally as Rapa Nui, are not heads at all. They are towering, full-bodied figures, many buried up to their necks in the shifting earth, their immense torsos and elongated hands carved in exquisite detail, patiently waiting to be seen in full. Their creation began in the volcanic crater of Rono Roroku, a landscape transformed into an open-air workshop of staggering ambition. Here, hundreds of statues in various stages of completion still cling to the living rock, providing a fossilized snapshot of the process. Using nothing harder than dense basalt stone picks, generations of master carvers worked with meticulous precision, first outlining the figure's form on the cliff face, then patiently chiseling it free, leaving only a slender spine of rock attached at the back. This was an act of faith as much as engineering, a commitment to a project that could take a team over a year to complete for a single statue. The true marvel, however, began once the statue was detached. The challenge was not just creation but motion. How do you move a figure weighing up to 80 tons across miles of rugged, hilly terrain to its final ceremonial platform, or ahu, on the coast? Oral traditions speak of the statues walking to their places, a poetic clue that modern experiments have brought to startling life. Researchers have demonstrated that with 3 strong ropes and a coordinated team, a Moai can be made to rock and pivot side to side, creating a slow, forward walking motion. Combined with a prepared path of log rollers, this method presents a plausible, elegant solution that turns the statue itself into a participant in its own journey. It is a dance of physics and human coordination, a rhythmic, communal effort that could bring a stone giant to life. This was not mere transport, it was a ceremonial procession, a physical manifestation of ancestral power moving across the land. Upon arrival, the statue was then carefully raised onto its ahu, a stone platform built with precise masonry. Here, the final act of precision was spiritual and directional. The Moai were almost always placed with their backs to the ocean, their immense, solemn gaze turned inward, watching over the villages and the living community of the island. They were not gazing out at an empty horizon, but were focal points of connection, linking the people to their ancestors, the land to the sea, and the present to a sacred past. The silent, watchful Moai are not monuments to a mystery, but to a mastery, a society that organized itself around a shared vision and moved mountains, one deliberate step at a time. The silent giants of Easter Island turned their gaze inward, but in the highlands of Mexico, an entire city was built to mirror the heavens. Teotihuacan, the city of the gods, is a testament to urban planning on a cosmic scale. Long before the Aztecs found it and gave it its name, this metropolis was a thriving center of power and culture, and its layout reveals a mind of staggering geometric clarity. Driving through the heart of the city is the Street of the Dead, a broad avenue running for over a mile with a precision that feels modern. This is not a path that simply evolved from foot traffic. It is a deliberate axis, a backbone upon which the entire urban body was carefully arranged. Flanking it are the two monumental anchors, the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon. Their placement is not arbitrary, they are integral components of a grand design. The Pyramid of the Sun, one of the largest structures of its kind in the world, is aligned so precisely that its western facade faces the point where the sun sets on the day it passes directly overhead. But the celestial connections run deeper. Researchers have noted that the entire layout of the city, from the angle of the main avenue to the positioning of key temples, appears to be aligned with the setting of the star cluster known as the Pleiades, a profoundly significant marker in Mesoamerican cosmology. This was not just architecture, it was a three-dimensional map of a sacred order, built to synchronize the rhythms of human life with the cycles of the cosmos. Achieving this level of integrated precision required more than spiritual vision. It demanded an unprecedented degree of social organization. The construction consumed millions of tons of stone, rubble, and adobe brick. What is truly revealing is the consistency. The angles of the pyramidal platforms, the widths of the streets, the dimensions of the residential compounds, all point to the use of a standardized unit of measurement, now called the Teotihuacan unit. This means that from the grandest temple to the most modest apartment complex, the same ruler, the same mathematical logic was applied. Imagine the coordination required. Thousands of workers over generations, all adhering to a single master plan, a blueprint so comprehensive and so faithfully executed that its geometric harmony is still visible from the air today. This speaks of a centralized authority with the power to mobilize and direct a vast society toward a unified vision, not for a single monument, but for an entire holy city designed to be a perfect reflection of the universe itself. The Sphinx does not watch over the desert, it emerges from it. This is the crucial distinction. While the pyramids were built by assembling millions of individual blocks, the Great Sphinx was created through a process of profound subtraction. Its builders did not carry stone to a site. They encountered a massive limestone outcrop on the Giza plateau and saw a guardian within it. With an artist's vision and an engineer's calculation, they carved away everything that was not the Sphinx, revealing a lion's body and a human head from a single, living formation of rock. This subtractive sculpture on a monumental scale required a different kind of precision, one of foresight and restraint. A single miscalculation in the depth of a cut could have fractured the entire form. The surrounding Sphinx Temple and Valley Temple, however, showcase the more familiar additive mastery. They are constructed from colossal core blocks of local limestone, some weighing over 200 tons, and originally sheathed in gleaming granite casing stones brought from Aswan, over 500 miles up the Nile. This combination of subtractive and additive techniques within the same complex speaks to a complete command of the material world. But the true genius of the Sphinx complex is not in its individual parts, but in their relationship to the whole. The Sphinx, its two temples, and the Great Pyramid of Khufu are not separate monuments placed haphazardly on the plateau. They form a meticulously planned ceremonial landscape, a sacred geometry etched into the earth. The Sphinx is aligned directly with the Pyramid of Khafre, its gaze fixed eternally toward the rising sun on the spring equinox. This precise orientation ties the entire site together into a unified cosmological statement, a physical model of the Egyptian belief in the sun's rebirth and the pharaoh's eternal journey. This deep integration has fueled one of archaeology's most enduring debates, the question of its age. Geological studies of erosion patterns on the Sphinx's body have led some researchers to suggest it shows signs of water weathering, which would imply it is far older than the traditional date, linking it to Pharaoh Khafre around 2500 BCE. This hypothesis, while contested, raises profound questions about the timeline of high-precision megalithic construction at Giza. Could the Sphinx be a relic from a much earlier epoch, a pre-existing monument that the pyramid builders incorporated into their grand design? Adding to the mystery, seismic surveys have suggested the possibility of anomalies, cavities, or tunnels beneath the Sphinx's pores and around its body. Whether these are natural geological features or man-made chambers remains an open question, one that keeps the Sphinx at the very heart of investigative archaeology. It stands as a permanent reminder that our understanding of these sites is never complete, and that the most precise plans of the ancient world may still hold secrets beneath the very ground we walk on. Machu Picchu clings to its mountain ridge not as a conqueror, but as a partner in an ancient dialogue. This lost city of the Inca is not merely built upon the land. It is a seamless extension of it, a masterpiece of engineering that listens to the contours of the earth and the flow of water. Its precision is a dual achievement, equally evident in the intimate fit of stone upon stone and in the life-giving systems that sustained a community in the clouds. Every structure here begins with the foundational Inca technique of ashlar masonry. Giant blocks of granite, some with over a dozen intricate angles, are carved to fit their neighbors with that now familiar, paper-thin perfection. But at Machu Picchu, this is not just for monumental walls. It is used for humble storehouses, elegant temples, and the very terraces that cradle the city. These agricultural terraces are themselves feats of precision engineering. Built with deep gravel layers for drainage and rich topsoil, they prevented erosion and created microclimates, allowing the cultivation of diverse crops on a steep mountainside. They transformed a precarious slope into a fertile, sustainable garden. This practical genius finds its most eloquent expression in the water system. The Inca engineers located a natural spring on the mountainside north of the city. From this single source, they carved a stone channel with a meticulously calculated, consistent gradient. This channel carried fresh water over a distance, sometimes through solid rock, to a series of 16 ceremonial fountains that cascaded through the residential sector. The gradient was so precise that the water flowed at a controlled, steady pace, never too fast to cause erosion, never too slow to stagnate. It was a municipal water supply of breathtaking elegance, bringing the mountain's own vitality into the heart of the city. And presiding over this harmony of stone, water, and agriculture is the Teotihuacan, the so-called hitching post of the sun. This elegantly carved granite pillar is a celestial instrument. On the equinoxes, the sun stands directly above it, casting no shadow. During the solstices, the shadow touches specific markers, charting the sun's journey across the sky. At Machu Picchu, precision was not an abstract ideal. It was the essential thread that wove together urban planning, agricultural survival, hydraulic engineering, and sacred astronomy into a single, resilient tapestry. This city shows us that ancient mastery was not just about moving mountains, but about learning to live with them in perfect, sustainable balance. The Parthenon stands as a testament to a truth the ancient Greeks understood deeply, that human perception is imperfect, and true perfection must be engineered for the eye. This marble temple crowning the Acropolis is the pinnacle of classical architecture, but its genius lies in a series of deliberate, calculated imperfections. Its builders were not just masons, they were psychologists of vision, correcting for the flaws in our own senses to create an illusion of flawless harmony. Look at the columns. To our modern eye, they appear perfectly straight, but they are not. Each one swells gently in the middle, a subtle curvature known as intosses. If the columns were truly straight, the human eye would perceive them as bending inward under the weight of the massive entablature above. This slight outward curve is a counter-illusion, a preemptive correction that makes the entire structure appear rigid, stable, and true. The platform upon which the Parthenon rests performs a similar trick. It is not flat but bows upward in the center by several inches. This gentle arc serves a practical purpose, channeling rainwater away, but its greater function is visual. A truly flat base on such a scale would appear to sag in the middle to a viewer looking up from below. This upward curve makes the entire edifice seem grounded and eternally level. This obsession with optical correction points to a profound philosophical goal. The precision here was not merely structural. The temple would have stood without these subtleties. It was an intellectual and aesthetic pursuit, an attempt to manifest an ideal of beauty that transcended physical reality. This ideal was expressed mathematically through the golden ratio, a proportional relationship found throughout nature, from seashells to flower petals. The Parthenon's dimensions, from the width of the facade to the spacing of the columns, are all intricately related to this ratio, creating a subconscious sense of balance and order that feels inherently right to us. Using only bronze and iron tools, marble saws, and abrasive sand, the Athenians achieved a surface finish and a joinery so precise that for centuries the building appeared as if carved from a single, colossal block of stone. This was the physical expression of Athenian society at its height, a civilization that valued reason, harmony, and the pursuit of an ideal. The Parthenon was not just a house for a goddess, it was a monument to the human capacity to perceive a higher order and then, through sheer will and craftsmanship, to bring it down to earth. Göbekli Tepe is a whisper from a world we thought we understood, and it changes everything. Nestled on a barren hilltop in southeastern Turkey, this site is not a city, not a fortress, but a series of stunningly precise stone circles built over 11,000 years ago. That date is not a typography error. It predates the invention of writing, the wheel, and even the widespread adoption of agriculture. According to everything we thought we knew, the people of this era were nomadic hunter-gatherers, living hand to mouth, their societies too simple and mobile to undertake vast communal construction projects. Göbekli Tepe stands that narrative on its head. Here we find not simple huts, but at least 20 circular enclosures defined by massive, T-shaped limestone pillars. Each pillar is a work of art and engineering, quarried from local bedrock, shaped, and then transported to the site. Some of these monoliths stand 16 feet tall and weigh up to 20 tons. The organization required for this is staggering. It means a society capable of planning, of feeding and coordinating a large workforce, and of executing a shared vision that would take months or years to complete. This was not a practical necessity for survival. It was a spiritual and social imperative, a gathering place of profound significance. The precision here is twofold. First, in the sheer logistics of moving and erecting these giants without beasts of burden or the wheel, likely using ropes, log rollers, and the coordinated strength of hundreds. Second, and perhaps more astonishing, is the artistry. The surfaces of these pillars are not blank. They are adorned with breathtaking bas-relief carvings of animals, foxes, boars, cranes, scorpions, and lions, rendered with a fluid, confident style that feels utterly modern. This was achieved using nothing harder than flint tools. The skill required to execute such detailed, symbolic artwork on such a hard canvas speaks of specialized craftsmen, of a tradition passed down, of a symbolic language shared by an entire culture. Göbekli Tepe forces a revolutionary question. Did monument building and complex social organization come first, actually paving the way for the settled, agricultural societies that followed? Was it the need to feed the builders of these sacred circles that helped drive the domestication of plants and animals? This site is more than a ruin. It is a key, turning in the lock of human prehistory, suggesting that the drive to create meaning, to gather in awe, and to leave a permanent mark upon the earth may be one of the very foundations of civilization itself. Angkor Wat does not simply occupy the land, it orchestrates it. This sprawling complex, the world's largest religious monument, is a symphony in sandstone, where every tower, gallery, and canal plays a part in a grand cosmological design. Its iconic silhouette of 5 lotus bud towers is a masterpiece of symmetry, a precise geometric representation of Mount Meru, the sacred mountain at the center of the Hindu universe. This alignment was not just symbolic, it was physical. The entire temple is oriented to the west, a direction typically associated with endings, which some scholars believe connects it to the funerary rites of its builder, King Sacsayhuamán II. This precise orientation means that during the equinoxes, the sun rises directly over the central tower, a celestial event that would have bathed the heart of the cosmic model in light. But to achieve this vision, the Khmer engineers had to solve a problem of staggering practical scale. They built this stone mountain in the middle of a floodplain. The precision here, therefore, had to be hydraulic as well as architectural. The entire complex is encircled by a vast moat, over 200 yards wide, which does far more than just look impressive. This moat and an extensive network of reservoirs, or barrages, acted as a massive stabilization and irrigation system. They regulated the wild seasonal flooding of the region, creating a stable water table that prevented the massive stone foundations from shifting. This water network transformed the landscape, supporting the agriculture that fed a vast urban population and turning a challenging environment into a sustainable one. Within this stabilized frame, the artistic precision reaches its peak. The walls of Angkor Wat are a library in stone. Thousands of square yards of bas-relief carvings depict epic Hindu stories, celestial dances, and historical processions with a uniformity of detail that feels almost industrial. The figures are not randomly placed, they are part of a continuous, flowing narrative, each panel carved with such consistent depth and style that it seems the work of a single, impossibly patient hand. This reveals a society with standardized artistic training, a shared iconographic language, and the organizational capacity to manage teams of master carvers over decades. Angkor Wat is where the macro and the micro converge. It is a city-scale model of the cosmos, supported by an Earth-scale system of water engineering and animated by wall-scale artistry of divine stories. It demonstrates that true monumental precision is holistic, a seamless integration of belief, utility, and beauty into a single, enduring testament to human ambition. A mountain can be a compass. In the rolling plains of southern Spain, the Neolithic builders of Antequera chose a guide not from the moving sky but from the permanent earth. The Menga Dolmen is a gallery of giants, a burial chamber constructed from colossal stone slabs that create a long, tunnel-like space leading into a hillside. Its scale is humbling, a testament to communal effort where the largest capstone, a single slab resting atop the uprights, is estimated to weigh 180 tons, a mass comparable to a blue whale. The precision here is not in paper-thin joints, though the fitting of these megaliths is remarkably exact, but in a profound and deliberate choice of direction. While so many ancient monuments gaze upward, aligning with solstice sunrises or specific stars, Menga does something different. Its entire long axis is carefully oriented to point directly at a distinctive mountain on the horizon, La Peña de los Enamorados, the Rock of the Lovers. This is not a casual backdrop, it is the focal point. This terrestrial alignment reveals a sophisticated world view where the sacred geography was not just celestial, but intimately local. The mountain itself, with its unmistakable silhouette resembling a sleeping giant, was likely seen as a powerful, animate feature of the landscape, a permanent ancestor or deity. By aligning their house for the departed with this natural monument, the builders created a permanent symbolic link, tethering the memory of the community and the journey of those who had passed to an eternal feature of their homeland. It speaks of a deep spiritual connection to a specific place where every hill and rock formation held meaning. The engineering required to execute this vision was formidable. Quarrying, transporting, and raising these megaliths, then positioning the entire structure with such a specific terrestrial bearing, required not only immense labor but also a shared mental map of the world, one where human creation and the natural world were in constant, meaningful dialogue. The dolmens of Antiquera remind us that precision could be directed inward, toward the earthly womb of the landscape itself, crafting a sacred geography where the boundary between the built world and the born world gracefully disappeared. The jungle itself seems to hold its breath around Tikal. This is not a city reclaimed by nature, it is a city that commanded it, its towering limestone pyramids piercing the green canopy like stone mountains. Here, the Maya did not simply clear space to build, they engineered an entire urban landscape with a dual purpose of celestial observation and sacred ceremony, and their precision is etched into the very alignment of the stones. At the heart of this endeavor was a unique and resilient material, their version of concrete, a lime mortar made by burning limestone in kilns and mixing it with water and crushed stone. This mortar bound the carefully cut facing stones of the pyramids, creating structures of immense stability that could withstand centuries of tropical rains and root growth. But this binding agent was more than glue, it was part of a system. The pyramids were not just tombs or temples, they were giant, immovable instruments. Temple 4, one of the tallest pre-Columbian structures in the Americas, served as a precise vantage point. From its summit, priests and astronomers could track the complex journey of Venus, a planet of profound importance in Maya cosmology. Other temples were positioned so that on specific dates, the sun would rise or set directly behind their peaks when viewed from a certain plaza, marking the solstices or equinoxes with theatrical precision. This was not passive observation, it was active calibration, a way to keep their incredibly sophisticated calendar in perfect sync with the cosmos. This calendar dictated the rhythm of life, the timing of rituals, and the legitimacy of kings, making astronomical precision a matter of spiritual and political survival. Yet this engineering for the heavens was matched by an equally thoughtful design for human community on the ground. The Great Plaza, flanked by Temple 1 and Temple 2, is an acoustic marvel. The placement of the steep pyramid staircases and the flat, expansive plaza creates a natural sound lens. A person speaking in a normal voice at the base of one temple can be heard with startling clarity at the base of the opposite temple, over a football field's distance away. This was no accident. It allowed ceremonies, proclamations, and the chants of priests to resonate through the heart of the city, uniting thousands of spectators in a shared auditory experience. At Tikal, precision served both the silent, mathematical dance of the planets and the powerful, communal voice of the people, proving that to understand the cosmos, one must also master the earthly stage from which we observe it. The echoing plazas of Tikal give way to a city hidden within stone itself. Deep in the desert canyons of Jordan, the Nabateans did not build with blocks. They performed a kind of architectural alchemy, turning solid cliffs into palaces. The treasury of Petra, Al-Kosneh, is not a structure placed before a mountain, but one revealed from its very heart. Its precision is a masterpiece of subtraction, a meticulous process of removal where every strike of the hammer was a permanent commitment. The builders began at the top of the cliff face. Using iron chisels and stone hammers, they carved downward, removing an estimated 40,000 cubic meters of rose-red sandstone to create the void that would become the iconic facade. This top-down method was not just practical, preventing rock debris from damaging finished work below. It was an act of supreme confidence. Unlike adding stone, where you can adjust and correct, carving from a single mass offered no undue button. A major miscalculation in proportion or depth could not be patched. It would ruin the entire project. This demanded an extraordinary level of pre-visualization. The master sculptors had to hold the complete, intricate image of the finished Hellenistic temple, with its 2 stories of columns, ornate statues, and crowning urn perfectly in their minds. They then had to translate that mental blueprint into a precise, 3-dimensional map on the raw cliff, knowing exactly how deep to cut at every point to reveal a capital, an eyebrow, or a fold of drapery. The result is a breathtaking facsimile of classical architecture, achieved not through assembly but through revelation. Every fluted column, every statue in its niche, was born from the patience to remove everything that was not part of the final vision. This speaks to a society of engineers and artists who possessed a profound spatial intelligence, a fluency in stone that allowed them to converse with a mountain and persuade it to become a monument. The treasury stands as a permanent testament to the power of negative space, proving that the most enduring forms are sometimes not built up, but patiently, perfectly carved out. Beneath the waves off Japan's westernmost island lies a structure that challenges the very definition of a ruin. The Yonaguni Monument rests in clear blue water, a massive sandstone formation rising from the seafloor with a geometry that feels unnervingly deliberate. Its most striking features are a series of immense flat terraces that drop like giant steps, some with sharp 90-degree edges. There are straight, vertical walls that run for meters without a curve, and what look like carved pillars and triangular openings that seem too orderly for random chance. This is not a collection of scattered rocks, it is a unified architectural form, one that appears to have been designed with intent. If these features are the work of human hands, then the implications are staggering. The precision here would have been applied in a world now lost, either carved on dry land over 10,000 years ago when sea levels were much lower, or shaped through some method we cannot yet conceive for working underwater at such a scale. The proposed age places its creation at the very end of the last ice age, a time when our historical records show humanity as hunter-gatherers, not monumental engineers. This single site, therefore, poses a question that echoes across our entire journey. Could there have been a pulse of advanced culture in the prehistoric Pacific, a chapter entirely missing from our textbooks? Geologists offer a compelling counter-narrative, pointing to the region's powerful seismic activity. They note that sandstone has natural bedding planes, and the relentless force of tidal currents over millennia can fracture rock along these lines, sometimes creating surprisingly angular shapes. The debate rests on this razor's edge between the incredible forces of nature and the fingerprints of a forgotten human will. What keeps researchers returning to the site are those persistent details, the parallel lines, the right angles that appear in clusters, the symmetry that feels orchestrated rather than accidental. Whether a masterpiece of natural sculpture or a sunken relic of a lost epoch, the Yonaguni Monument serves as a powerful reminder. It tells us that the earth itself can craft wonders that mimic our own ambition, and that sometimes the deepest mysteries are not on distant mountaintops, but waiting in the silent blue below, urging us to look again. Edward Leedskalnin worked in secret under the cover of night. In the early 20th century, on a small plot of land in Florida, this 5-foot-tall, 100-pound man from Latvia single-handedly created a wonder known as the Coral Castle. With no witnesses to his methods, he quarried, shaped, and positioned over 1,000 tons of massive coral rock, forming a surreal garden of stone furniture, towering walls, and a 28-foot-tall obelisk. The sheer tonnage moved by one individual is staggering, a modern echo of the megalithic puzzles we have seen across the ancient world, but the true marvel lies in the uncanny precision of his work. The most famous piece is a 9-ton stone gate carved from a single block. It is a feat of balance so perfect that a child could push it open with a single finger. It rotated smoothly on a metal shaft and an old truck bearing for decades, aligned so exactly that it took a team of engineers with a 20-ton crane 5 days to recenter it after the bearing failed in the 1980s. Leedskalnin was famously secretive, working alone and often at night. When pressed, he would only say that he understood the laws of weight and leverage, and that he had rediscovered the building secrets of the ancient Egyptians. He spoke of understanding the magnetic forces of the earth, of harnessing what he called perpetual motion holders. While his personal theories remain enigmatic, his physical achievement is an undeniable fact. It stands as a powerful, modern proof of concept. It demonstrates that a single determined individual, with a proprietary understanding of physics and simple tools, could indeed manipulate colossal stone with breathtaking accuracy. His work forms a direct, tangible bridge between the shadowy techniques of the ancient past and the documented present. It asks us a profound question. If one man in the 1940s could accomplish this alone, what might an entire society, with a unified cultural knowledge passed down through generations, have been capable of achieving? The Coral Castle is not an ancient ruin, but it is a monumental clue, suggesting that the lost arts of the megalithic builders may not be as lost as we think. The Longyu grottos are a world carved in secret and then deliberately forgotten. Hidden beneath the quiet villages of Zhejiang province in China lies not a single cave, but a vast, interconnected underworld of 24 hand-carved caverns. Discovered only in 1992 by a curious local draining a pond, these grottos are not natural formations. They are a monumental act of excavation, a subterranean complex of staggering precision and mysterious purpose. Covering an area of over 30,000 square meters, the equivalent of 5 football fields, the scale of removal is almost incomprehensible. Conservative estimates suggest nearly 1 million cubic meters of solid sandstone were painstakingly quarried from underground, a volume of rock that would fill over 300 Olympic swimming pools. Yet the true wonder is not the quantity removed, but the quality of what was left behind. Stepping into one of these grottos is like entering a grand, silent hall built by giants. The ceilings soar overhead, supported by enormous, evenly spaced pillars that were not added, but left standing as the surrounding rock was carved away. Every surface, from the towering walls to the vast, flat ceiling, is covered in a mesmerizing, uniform pattern of parallel chisel marks. These are not random scratches, but a consistent, decorative texture applied with meticulous care, as if the very act of excavation was also an act of finishing. The angles where walls meet ceiling are sharp and precise, often forming perfect 90-degree corners that run for dozens of meters without a single deviation. The pillars themselves are smoothed and shaped with symmetrical care. This level of underground craftsmanship presents a profound engineering puzzle. To carve such expansive, interconnected chambers without causing a catastrophic collapse required an advanced understanding of structural load and rock mechanics. The builders had to plan the entire complex in 3 dimensions before a single chisel struck, knowing exactly where to leave supporting pillars and how thick to make the walls between adjacent spaces. They were essentially creating a negative architecture, a blueprint defined entirely by the empty space they intended to create. The logistical challenge is equally baffling. What was done with the nearly 1 million cubic meters of rubble? There is no massive spoil heap in the surrounding landscape. The rock simply vanished, adding another layer to the enigma. Even more puzzling is the complete silence of history. There are no records, no legends, not even a whisper in local folklore that speaks of this decades-long, generation-spanning project happening right beneath people's feet. It is a Chinese parallel to the mystery of Derinkuyu, but executed with a different kind of precision, one focused on aesthetic uniformity and geometric clarity on a colossal underground scale. The Longyu grottos stand as a monument to an anonymous ambition, a silent testament carved in negative space, asking us who would invest such unimaginable effort to create a breathtaking world meant to remain forever in the dark. The Serapeum of Saqqara is a place of silent, overwhelming mass. Descending into its long, subterranean galleries, you are not met with hieroglyphs or statues, but with a single, repeated question carved in granite. Lining the tunnels are 24 colossal boxes, each one a sarcophagus hewn from a single, solid block of stone so hard it defies simple tools. The material is rose granite or black basalt, some of the most difficult stones to work on the planet, yet their interiors tell a story of impossible smoothness. The inside surfaces are polished to a flat, mirror-like finish, with corners so sharp and precise they look machined. The lids that once sealed them, slabs of stone weighing many tons themselves, were fitted with a seam so tight that when originally closed they were nearly airtight. This is precision turned inward, focused not on a facade for the living to see, but on the perfection of a sealed, private space. The logistical narrative here strains belief. Each finished box weighs between 60 and 80 tons. They were quarried from a swan over 500 miles up the Nile. Imagine the journey, floating this immense, fragile cargo down the river without cracking it, then transporting it overland to the site. Then comes the real feat, lowering these multi-ton monoliths down a narrow shaft and maneuvering them through tight, underground corridors to their final resting places. This was not a public works project, it was a secret, sacred operation. It points to a guild of artisans, a protected and elite craft tradition whose methods were likely never written down, only passed from master to apprentice. The purpose adds another layer of mystery, as these boxes were not for pharaohs, but for the sacred Apis bulls, incarnations of the god Ptah. The energy expended, the precision achieved, for the ceremonial resting place of an animal, speaks to a worldview where symbolic meaning dictated engineering on a staggering scale. It reveals an ancient Egypt capable of a specialized, almost industrial level of craftsmanship, a hidden dimension of their technological prowess reserved for the most sacred of tasks. The silent, sealed spaces of the Serapeum give way to walls that roar with the weight of history. In the sun-baked plains of Greece, the citadel of Turin stands guarded by stones so massive, ancient writers believed only the mythical Cyclopes could have lifted them. These are the famed Cyclopean walls, a fortress of brute force and brilliant cunning. At first glance, they appear chaotic, a haphazard pile of giant limestone boulders, some weighing more than 10 tons. But look closer, and the chaos resolves into a masterful logic. This is precision of a different kind, not the machined smoothness of a pyramid's casing stone, but the strategic intelligence of a master stonemason playing a three-dimensional puzzle with the landscape itself. The builders did not have the luxury of quarrying perfect geometric blocks. Instead, they worked with what the earth provided, gathering enormous, irregularly shaped stones from the surrounding hills. Their genius lay in the selection and the fit. Each boulder was chosen not for its shape in isolation, but for how its unique contours could lock against its neighbors. They would test and turn these giants, seeking the natural grooves and protrusions that would create a stable, interlocking bond, a stone jigsaw held together by gravity and friction. No mortar was used because none was needed. The wall's strength came from this intricate, compressive embrace where every stone supported and was supported by those around it. This technique created a structure with immense tensile strength, able to absorb shocks and settle over time without collapsing. It is a testament to an intuitive, hands-on understanding of physics, of load-bearing and counterpressure, learned through generations of working directly with stone. Within these monstrous walls, another flash of sophistication appears, the corbelled arch. To create openings like gateways or galleries, the builders used a cantilever technique. Each course of stone was laid so it projected slightly inward over the one below, until the two sides met at the top, forming a triangular or beehive-shaped vault. This method distributes weight down the sides of the opening rather than across a weak span, a fundamental principle of architecture that would be rediscovered and refined for millennia. The walls of Turin, standing for over 3,000 years, teach us that ancient precision was not a single formula. It could be the patient, paper-thin joinery of the Inca, or it could be this robust, adaptive artistry, this ability to see the potential for perfect stability within a pile of seemingly random rocks. It was the intelligence to make the land itself into an impenetrable shield, proving that true engineering begins not with forcing materials to conform, but with understanding their inherent nature and building in harmony with it. The chariot of the sun does not merely stand in Konark, it is caught in a moment of eternal, precise motion. This 13th century temple in India is carved in the form of a colossal celestial chariot, pulled by 7 stone horses and resting upon 24 immense, intricately carved wheels. To call these wheels decorative is to miss their genius entirely. Each one is a fully functional sundial, a masterpiece of integrated design. The detailed spokes are not random artistry, they are calibrated instruments. As the sun arcs across the sky, the shadows cast by these spokes fall upon the wheel's carved markers, indicating the time of day with an accuracy that rivals many mechanical clocks of later centuries. This is precision with a dual purpose, where sacred art and practical astronomy become a single, seamless expression. The entire temple complex was a cosmic calendar in stone, designed so that the first rays of the dawn sun would strike the main entrance, illuminating the inner sanctum in a daily reenactment of divine illumination. But to create this vision of lightness and motion from solid stone required a hidden innovation of immense strength. The builders of Konark employed a revolutionary technique for its time, a skeletal framework of iron beams and clamps embedded within the stone masonry itself. This internal armature acted like a hidden skeleton, providing critical tensile strength that allowed for the construction of vast, soaring towers and the expansive, ornate hallways that would have been perilously unstable using traditional post and lintel methods alone. It was a bold fusion of the artistic and the industrial, a secret engineering that made the impossible form possible. The temple stands, even in its partial ruin, as a testament to a holistic vision. Here, the sculptor, the astronomer, and the structural engineer worked as one, their collective precision ensuring that every carved deity, every turning wheel, and every ton of stone served a unified purpose to capture the journey of the sun itself in a permanent, breathtaking monument of stone and shadow. 3,000 stones stand in silent, orderly ranks across the Breton landscape. The Karnak alignments are not a random scattering, but a vast geometric army of granite, stretching for miles in rows so straight they seem drawn by a ruler across the rolling earth. Sites like Lamanek form near-perfect rectangles and ovals, their boundaries defined by the deliberate placement of these multi-ton menhirs. The precision here is not in the shaping of individual stones, which are largely left in their natural, rugged forms, but in the breathtaking scale of the plan. To position thousands of these heavy pillars in such consistent, linear patterns required a vision that could hold its shape across generations. This was a communal project of almost unimaginable coordination, a society unified by a purpose powerful enough to organize the quarrying, transport, and erection of these giants in meticulously surveyed lines. The likely purpose deepens the mystery, as many researchers believe the rows are aligned with celestial events, perhaps marking the rising and setting of the sun or moon on significant days of the year. This transforms the entire coastal plain into a giant astronomical observatory, a calendar written not on parchment, but planted into the very soil. The effort speaks to a Neolithic culture with sophisticated knowledge of surveying, capable of maintaining straight alignments over uneven terrain and vast distances. It shows us that precision could be a communal act, a shared agreement made manifest across the land, where every person who helped haul and raise a stone was contributing a single point to a line aimed at the heavens. This quiet field in France is a lesson in scale, proving that ancient ambition could paint with a brush as wide as the horizon itself, creating order from chaos not within a single building, but across the entirety of the living world. Stone walls rise from the African savanna like the bones of the earth itself. Great Zimbabwe is more than a ruin, it is the soul of a nation, the largest ancient structure south of the Sahara, and a testament to a sophisticated African civilization that thrived for centuries. Its name means Great House of Stone in the Shona language, and it lives up to that title with quiet, monumental grace. The precision here is not about celestial alignment or machined edges, but about a profound harmony with the landscape and a mastery of a demanding technique known as dry stone walling. The builders worked with granite, a stubborn and heavy material, quarrying it from the surrounding hills. Without mortar, without any binding agent at all, they shaped these rough blocks and stacked them with such care that the walls they created are smooth, curved, and astonishingly stable. Some walls stretch over 5 meters thick and soar 11 meters high, yet they stand not as rigid fortifications, but as flowing extensions of the granite copies, the great stone hills upon which the city was built. This was an adaptive precision. The walls follow the natural contours of the bedrock, weaving around outcrops and embracing the existing topography. This method did more than just save effort. It created a structure that was organically strong, its foundations literally part of the living mountain. The technique required immense skill. Each stone had to be selected and placed so that its weight and shape locked it securely against its neighbors, distributing loads evenly and creating walls that could withstand the test of time and climate. Within these majestic enclosures, the society flourished. The complex is divided into 3 main areas: the hill complex, thought to be a spiritual center, the great enclosure with its iconic conical tower, likely a royal residence, and the valley enclosures for the community. The famous conical tower is a solid structure, a symbolic grain silo representing the king's role as the provider and protector of his people's prosperity. Great Zimbabwe was a hub of trade, connected to networks that reached the Swahili coast and beyond, dealing in gold, ivory, and other precious goods. The scale and precision of the stonework served a dual purpose. It provided practical defense, certainly, but more importantly, it was a permanent, undeniable display of royal authority and cultural achievement. The walls spoke a language of power, stability, and connection to the land, proclaiming the sophistication of the Shona civilization to all who approached. This was not an imported style, but a uniquely African innovation, a local answer to the universal human drive to build something lasting and meaningful from the materials at hand. It stands as a powerful reminder that monumental precision is not the property of any one continent or culture, but a thread woven through the shared tapestry of human ingenuity across our entire world. These patterns are not mere coincidence, they are a chorus of human thought echoing across time and space. From the solstice sunrise at Stonehenge to the Venus sightline from Tikal's peak, from the Pleiades setting over Teotihuacan to the equinox alignment of Angkor, we find a universal impulse to pin our earthly creations to the celestial clock. It is as if cultures separated by oceans and millennia were all answering the same silent call, to build a fixed point in a turning sky, to find order in the cosmos and reflect it here below. This shared celestial language points to a fundamental human experience, the awe of watching the same sun, moon, and stars, and the profound desire to understand our place within their cycles. The choice of material tells a similar story of convergent thinking. From the andesite of Puma Punku to the granite of the Serapeum, from the coral of Leedskalnin's castle to the sandstone of Petra, the selected medium was almost always stone of immense durability and weight. This was a deliberate rejection of the temporary. Wood rots, clay crumbles, but stone endures. The very difficulty of working it became part of its value, a test of a society's resolve and a guarantee of its message to the future. The logistical obsession with moving these multi-ton blocks, whether rolling the Moai, floating Egyptian obelisks, or dragging the Trilithon stones, reveals a global willingness to invest generations of labor for a permanent legacy. Perhaps most telling is the independent invention of similar advanced techniques. The polygonal puzzle work of Sacsayhuamán finds a distant cousin in the Cyclopean walls of Turin's, both societies discovering that irregular, interlocking shapes create unparalleled stability. The paper-thin joins of the Great Pyramid's casing stones are mirrored in the mortarless seams of Inca masonry, a separate engineering tradition arriving at the same elegant solution for bonding stone. This phenomenon, where isolated cultures develop parallel technologies, is known as independent invention. It shows us that the human mind, when presented with a similar set of challenges, how to make something colossal, permanent, and meaningful, will often navigate toward similar solutions. It is a powerful argument for a shared cognitive toolkit, a universal capacity for precision that emerges when a culture's vision demands it. These common threads weave a new understanding. They suggest that the drive to build with exacting care is not a fluke of history granted to a few privileged civilizations, but a fundamental strand in the human story. It emerges whenever a society reaches a point where its beliefs, its identity, and its view of the universe become so potent that they demand expression in a form meant to outlast the builders themselves. This global tapestry of precision tells us less about secret knowledge passed between continents, and more about the innate human capacity to observe, to calculate, and to collaborate on a scale that bends the physical world to the will of a shared dream. The stone itself was the canvas, but the true masterpiece was always the collective human effort to reach for permanence. This shared legacy of stone is a mirror held up to our own time. From the deserts of Egypt to the mountains of Peru, from submerged structures off Japan to the jungles of Cambodia, these 25 ruins stand before us not as puzzles to be solved and filed away, but as silent, permanent teachers. Their precision is a lesson in what is possible, a humbling reminder of the immense depth of human capability, organization, and spiritual aspiration. They quietly challenge our most comfortable assumptions about a straight line of technological progress, inviting a profound humility. We are not the first to seek perfection, only the latest to attempt it with our own set of tools. As we continue to study these sites with satellites, ground-penetrating radar, and new questions, perhaps the greatest discovery awaiting us is not a hidden chamber or a lost tool, but a simple, transformative realization. Our ancestors were not primitive people stumbling toward civilization. They were profoundly sophisticated engineers of their own world, masters of their environment who spoke a fluent language of geometry, astronomy, and communal will, and chose to write their most important truths in stone. They built for eternity, and in doing so, they built a bridge directly to us. This legacy poses a final, reflective question for our own age. What are we building today that will speak with such clarity to generations 3,000 years from now? What lessons in capability, aspiration, and harmony with our world will our monuments teach? If this journey across time and stone has sparked your curiosity, we would love to hear your thoughts. Which of these ancient wonders resonates with you the most? Share your perspective in the comments below and subscribe to continue exploring history's greatest mysteries together.